So what's CrewAI about? CrewAI is an open source tool, so you can use it with Python. What you can do with it is working with agents, orchestrating agents, in a very simple way without taking care of how these agents are built, how this reasoning is built under the hood. You just have to focus on the business problem. When do you need it? First, when you need multi-agent collaboration. When you need to work with an LLM and you need a good interface, I think that's also the case. When you want something that is scalable, we will see that if you have to work with agents, working with this library makes everything super scalable, so you don't have to take care of very weird refactoring and, I don't know, something super exotic to fix your LLM application. This presentation is about orchestrating LLM AI agents with CrewAI. So guess what? Still about agents. This was my approach to implementing applications based on agents during the last year. I did a lot of fun. I did work on a lot of projects. In this case, I will show a small use case, which is based on something that I did this year. It doesn't come from my work experience, but it's more a personal project for the sake of the presentation, but it will be quite entertaining. We will see what's Agentic AI, what's behind all these marketing words that you probably heard during the last year. We will dive into the package, CrewAI. This is an open source package, and we will look into the concepts of agents, tasks, and crews. We'll move to the orchestration, and then there will be a small use case and the conclusion. This is the most egocentric way I have to tell you who I am. I didn't expect such a big screen, I have to be honest. So I work as a data scientist, and actually this slide is mostly for you because in a nutshell, I'm a data scientist. I've been exposed to many domains, ride-hailing, logistics, but we can also talk about something else after the presentation. I'm really approachable. So if you don't like data science, we can talk about ski, guitar, whatever you want. How many data scientists in the room? Real data scientists? Someone? How many prompts engineers? You're not showing, right. All right, so what's Agentic AI? Still, we have this problem of basically having this placeholder. One of them is AI. AI, back then when I started working on deep neural networks, it was about deep neural networks. Before it was about rule-based systems, so we had this placeholder for a lot of technologies. Now when we talk about Agentic AI, it's about working with agents. But I consider it a placeholder. I think that for convenience, it's nice to say, okay, agents, AI, we know what we mean. But now AI is kind of about like LLMs. And what I've seen during the last months is that we have prompts everywhere. This is something that I like, but at the same time I don't really like it because it's, as you can see, it's suitable for small tasks, but it also creates a lot of problem. And you probably know what I mean, because whenever you have to productionize something based on prompts, it makes everything very complicated. It's not scalable, it's not modular. So I think if you're a prompt engineer, very good one. If you get a master's on prompt engineering, you know what I mean. And if we go back to 2022, we started with LLMs, large language model. And what happened is that we started working with this very interesting approach, which changed the world, and is about creating, sending a query to this LLM, and then there is a generation, and after this generation, we get an answer. And this was our first approach to LLMs. At some point, we moved to compound systems. Perhaps you know about them as retrieval augmented generation. And how this changed the way we use the generation is that now we have some sort of database we can access to. So in a nutshell, whenever we ask something to an LLM, we know that there is a generation approach. So the LLM doesn't know anything about your vacation days, about what you're going to do tomorrow, of course. But if you put this information into something that is accessible to the LLM, then you have this some sort of compound system. And then we moved to, let's say in 2023 or lately, we moved to LLM Agents. LLM Agents is something, in my opinion, very easy to understand. There's nothing really complex in it. In the end, you can see the agent as a loop around this system that includes LLM, like ChatGPT in this case, the tasks and the tools. So it's a way of developing something that incorporates reasoning. Of course, there is no real reasoning behind it, even though we don't really know how we reason, but we can say that there is a reasoning implemented in it. And this loop feedback is thanks to some memories, some actions, is incorporating this reasoning approach to validate the output and create an even stronger and sound output. And we can say that's pretty much it, right? So we don't want to dive too much into agents, but in a nutshell, this is what is happening. We have a lot of frameworks around. So just to be clear, CrewAI is one of them. I really like it when it's about agents, and that's my choice usually. But there's also something else. Now, another point for me was that I work as a data scientist, but as a software engineer, I need to implement applications. So I need to implement stuff that are actually working, that I can use in production, I can send to my clients, I can use myself. And the problem that I usually have whenever I started working with LLMs was that basing everything on prompts or basing everything on an LLM that is not trained by me, it was complicated because of all this best practice I was bringing from software engineering. So I wanted to build something that is modular, that is actually close to the way I was used to work as a software engineer. And that's also one of the reasons why I like to work with interfaces like CrewAI. So what's CrewAI about? Now, CrewAI is an open source tool, so you can use it with Python. There is also an enterprise version, which is not part of this talk, and I've never used it. I'm not really interested in it. What you can do with it is working with agents, orchestrating agents, in a very simple way without taking care of how these agents are built, how this reasoning is built under the hood. You just have to focus on the business problem. And you have core concepts like agents, tasks, and crews, we will see what is it, implemented under the hood by someone else. So you don't really have to take care of all these concepts. I like to really focus on this part and highlight the things that are provided by CrewAI, because these are all things that you don't have to implement yourself. And we will dive a bit into the package and you will see how complicated it is to reach this point if you have to work on something like this and build it from scratch. Under the hood, what we have is quite simple in my opinion. We have this crew, and inside the crew, we have the tasks and the agents, and there is a process that is assigning the tasks to the agents based on your specification. So you decide which are the tasks that are assigned to the agents, and you can keep this concept separated. We will see that also this is a very powerful concept because you don't have to take care of huge prompts where all the logic, whatever you have in mind, is in one single big string. But instead, in this case, you have all these concepts separated. When do you need it? First, when you need multi-agent collaboration. When you need to work with an LLM and you need a good interface, I think that's also the case. When you want something that is scalable, we will see that if you have to work with agents, working with this library makes everything super scalable, so you don't have to take care of very weird refactoring and, I don't know, something super exotic to fix your LLM application. Now, let's have a look at the components of this library. I think that since we're going to look into the interface and not the actual implementation, we're going to focus on the business use cases around this package. First, the agent. The agent is this so-called autonomous unit. With the agent, we can perform tasks, we can make decisions, and we can communicate with other agents. What happens when you define the agent is that you have this role, and you have a goal, and then a backstory. Here you can already see that we're not telling anything about, we're not telling the agent what to do exactly. We're telling the agent, you are this kind of unit, you do this and that, this is your story, this is your role, but I'm not telling you what to do exactly. Because this is implemented in another class, which is the task. With the task, we define what the agent is going to do. So we're basically taking this out. We're not writing everything in a huge string, but we're taking this out. And if we want, we can also use the task in another project. We can assign the task to another agent, and this is up to us, and everything is separated. So as you can see, we started using some modules, and this is already scalable. In the definition of the task, we can define the description of the task, the expected output. This is also very powerful. If you are working with prompts, and if you're working with LLMs, you know that this is a very nice to have. And then the agent, this task is going to be assigned to. And of course, if we want, we can also take this and assign it to another agent. And then we have the crew. With the crew, we're basically putting everything together. So we're saying, okay, I have a set of agents. I have the tasks that these agents have to perform, and putting everything together within the crew. And in the crew, I define what are the agents for the scope that I have in mind, the tasks, which kind of process we will see what they say the agent are going to work with, and some other small parameters. Speaking of process, what happens when you want to create some sort of orchestration? You can do it in a very simple way. You can just use sequential, but if you want, you can also use hierarchical. This is very powerful. So when you use sequential, basically you execute one task after the other. So you're not doing anything special. But when you use hierarchical, you can say, okay, I have these three managers with three different tasks. Sorry, these three tasks agents with three different tasks, and then. Because of what I want to do, and we will see an example, I'm defining an agent, a new task, a new agent, which is a manager. This manager, like a real-life manager, can actually oversee what the agents are going to do and adjust the shot while while running the application. The manager is going to be sure that if you have any constraints in mind, the application is going that direction. So it's going to help the agents to reach the goal. One example is, let's say that you have a very important constraint that is, okay, I want to be sure that the budget is under this value. The agents are doing something very, very tough. And there is a manager on top of it saying, hey, be sure that the total budget is going to be under this value, because otherwise we're going to fail. Then another thing that we can do with CrewAI is tools. I think if you have used some LLM frameworks, you're probably used to this concept. Working with tools, it means that actually tools are something that belong to agents, to Agentic AI. And the idea is to let your application to use external tools to accomplish something. Browsing the web, accessing some external APIs, and so forth, so on. It can be done in a very simple way. In this case, I'm using Serper Dev Tool. Who knows Serper? Okay, Serper is for browsing the web. It gives a there is a subscription, but you can also use it for free. My advice is to use it as soon as possible, because it is a crazy tool. What you can do is creating an agent, in this case, the marketing research analyst, which, thanks to the Serper Dev Tool, can access the web. So it's kind of browsing the web for you. And Serper provides a very smart way to browse the web without using too many tokens and so forth, so on. And this is one of the powerful things that you can do. That's why we call it agent, because they can do more than just relying on the RAG or what's inside the LLM. Then we have a very nice way of dealing with the memory. This is probably a bit too technical, but I wanted to show what's inside Create Crew memory. This is inside the library. It's not super helpful, but it's nice to have a look at it. Overall, what you see in the documentation is this. So we have the different types of memory. So if you need a short-term memory, long-term memory, you can deal with it, and it's really easy. You just have to provide a parameter to the crew. But this is what's happening inside. So this basically means that if you want, you can do more. If you want to change the type of memory, if you have a different type of memory, if you're implementing something yourself, you can tell CrewAI, hey, I'm providing a different memory system, and that's it. So also very powerful. And then let me take this out because I don't want to show you my secret files on Google Drive. Then what happens is that the collaboration is, of course, a very important part of multi-agent orchestration. And why I have a slide about this with no code? Because the code about the collaboration, if you look into the library, is complicated and it is also out of scope here. What's important is that you don't have to do it. Creating a system with that lets agents collaborate is very complicated. It requires a big effort, and it's not something you do in a weekend. This is all implemented, so the information sharing, the task assistance, resource allocation, all things that have been studied a lot and implemented in CrewAI and in some other frameworks, and you don't have to take care about it. So you focus on your application. Now we are all experts. How many experts do we have about CrewAI? I think all of us. I mean, I taught you everything, right? I taught you everything. Okay. Once again, how many experts? Okay, come on, come on. You too, I saw you. You're an expert. You're an expert. Great, great, great. This is for warming up because you have to ask questions. Perfect. Now let's move to the use case. As I said, I cannot share too much about what I did in my organization, but I prepared a really nice use case, which is something I used because as you saw from the first picture, I like to ski. I'm not a professional. I started 2-3 years ago, and I had a lot of questions when I started skiing. This is a friend of mine laying on the snow. He fell, and I created this picture. So what happened is that I had a lot of questions, and planning our ski trip was very complicated. The main reason was that there were a lot of small things that we have to optimize for, and I didn't really know how to find the best place, how to deal with friends that are living in Madrid. I'm based in Hamburg, some other people in Italy, and it was very complicated to find a place where to go and some other stuff. And at some point, I realized that this was an optimization problem. One example is, how can I be sure that we're going to a place that is affordable for everyone, is reachable, and at the same time, we have a ski rental place nearby, things like this. I was doing a lot of research, and at some point, I was like, okay, because of these reasons, I thought about orchestrating some agents in order to solve this optimization problem. And as you can see, these are the main reasons. Optimization challenge, try to create something that is reproducible, because the main problem for me was that I wanted to go ski, I don't like, maybe once, twice per year. So I wanted to reuse this tool whenever I had to. And most importantly, I wanted to use this for something practical, honestly. And this is what I did. So if we look at this implementation, here I have the agents, not all the agents that I prepared for that I actually implemented, because for the sake of the presentation, I decided to take some agents out. But this is the main structure, and you will also see the output coming from this. And as you can see here, I decided to create one agent that is in charge of finding the best location. This agent has this backstory, identify the best key destinations, so far so on, and is all about best location. So it doesn't know anything else about the other agents, and we don't want to spoil anything about what's happening inside the other agents or the other tasks. Then I have These are all coming from my needs, by the way. Then I have one agent for best hotel. So I want to find the best hotel in the place where we want to go. And then I have the most convenient ski shop. In this case, I'm basically saying, okay, provide information where I can find the best ski shop so I can rent my equipment. And I also needed a manager. That's why I told you before that in some cases you want to have a different process to deal with orchestration. And in this case, I needed a manager because I had a very strong requirement, which is budget. And imagine if I let these agents do the job for me, and they will come up with something that costs 10K for 3 days. They will probably say, okay, this is what you were asking for. We provided a solution, but it's not feasible. Since it's an optimization problem, we do have constraints. This is one of those. So we have a manager that is going to make sure that we are within the budget that I have in mind. The manager, what the manager does is going back forth to checking back and forth what the agents provide and be sure that the overall budget is below a certain limit. And what happens is that if something goes wrong, the manager tells the agent to go back, look for another answer to the question, and then recreate this output until you find something that is feasible. Another reason why working with agent in this case is a good option is because if you work with LLMs, what happens is that, as you probably know, LLMs will always provide an answer. And in this case, it's not what I want to do. I'm working on an optimization problem. So I want to be also in the situation where if I say, okay, one of my friends lives in China, the application will probably say, hey, I didn't find anything that is kind of working for every of you, for all of you, because your friend will probably pay 10K more than you. So I also want to end up in those situations if things are going in the wrong direction. So I don't want to have an answer at any cost, as we usually do with LLMs. So now we move to the tasks. The tasks are really simple here. Let's start with these two. The destination finder, I'm basically giving all the information that I need to the agent in the end for the destination. And then the constraints. This is what I'm going to give to the manager. This is one of the most important, because here I'm basically saying, hey, I have a budget, and let's try to stick to the budget. Final step, we assemble the crew. Here, I'm basically putting together all the things that we have seen, easy. And of course, I'm using as a process hierarchical, because there is a hierarchy. There is a manager that is telling the agents what to do. And this is the final output. This is the exact output of what we have seen before. That's actually my destination. I did go to Chamonix this year because of this application, so it did work pretty well. It was a very high risk. Tell my friends, hey, let's go there because an application told us to do so. But they actually have, they trusted me. I don't know why. But yeah, this is our ski planner from now on. And what can we say about this? First of all, we had a lot of fun looking at this no-sense Python code. And what I really like about this approach is that it's modular. For me, it's really important. As I said, I work as a data scientist, but I do a lot of software engineering, as many of you. And if it's not modular, if it's not scalable, it's something that I cannot really pitch to my clients, to the business units I work for. It's really complicated if I go to them and say, hey, this is the prompt. Let's see what happens. No, I need something that I can refactor, I can maintain, it's scalable, and if we have to change something, we know how to do it. Working with prompts, it can be problematic. It's community-driven. I really love that CrewAI now, if you're gonna check it out, is actually in every job listing, so it's quite famous. And I really like how you can manage the memory. If you want to go deep into the library, if you want to do something kind of exotic with the memory, you can do it. You have freedom in that sense, and that's something that I really like. There are also some other problems which are not just about CrewAI. I'm talking about problems that we have with frameworks in general. And these problems are about, first of all, learning something new, because you need to, every time you learn a new Python library, it looks like a new life, looks like you have to start another chapter of your life, and I get it. There is a lot of hidden complexity. We have seen, we were looking into how the memory is managed, but of course, if you don't want to check how the package works, it's okay, but then it will be like you have to trust the output. It will be like a black box. So in some ways, you're kind of accepting the framework way. And another problem is that you need to be aware that it's not always customizable, and you might have integration problems. This is what happened to me also, that depending on what you're going to use, maybe it will not be fully integrated with whatever you're using, with your database connector, with your memory, something. So sometimes it happens, and CrewAI sometimes is one of those packages that cannot be fully integrated because it's a new package. And there are also some alternatives, which I don't like, of course, because I like CrewAI. But this is just to be on the safe side. I'm also showing some of the alternatives. I did use some of them. LangChain, LangGraph is definitely interesting, but I think it's too complicated for me. I'm not really as good as you think in data science, so I prefer to go with the easy one. And some other stuff I also really like. Haystack is also interesting, but I prefer to work with CrewAI when it's about agents. But yeah, check also the alternatives. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Now I will ask questions. I'm just kidding. But if you have questions, feel free to ask now or maybe later. But that's it. I thank you all. Thank you.